After an unforgettable fall and winter here in the Charlotte area, it's now spring, and that means it's soccer time. And after the Carolina Panthers made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and the Charlotte Hornets are now fighting for home court advantage in the first round of the NBA playoffs, Charlotte Independent starts its second season here in the Ramblewood Soccer Complex, and their opening night opponent, Louisville City. And good evening here from the Ramblewood Soccer Complex. I'm Jeff Hamlin. Thank you for joining us here tonight as we get ready for a very important matchup for Charlotte here as they go up against some familiar faces, including members of the Louisville City team that were members of Charlotte Independence last year. Regardless, Charlotte tonight has some new faces of their own and some familiar faces, including Jorge Herrera coming back to the squad along with Alex Martinez. I'm Jeff Hamlin. Thank you for joining us here tonight. And Dave Hodges is by my side for tonight's contest here as Louisville City starts a new chapter here tonight. Jeff. Good evening to you. And first of all, touching on Charlotte here, we talked about the familiar names coming back here this season, Dave, and certainly Jorge Herrera, Alex Martinez, and Enzo Martinez at the very top of that list. The back line will also feature some familiar faces that played for Charlotte during its inaugural season in Placic Sajic, Belial Duckett, and Henry Kalungi. However, the midfield will be different as Paulo Del Piccolo, who was playing for Charlotte Independence, now playing for Louisville City. What can we anticipate from Charlotte tonight?
Well, Jeff, you know they're going to want to start the season off on a good note. They actually got their first franchise win last season against these Louisville City FC football players, so you know they would love to repeat that this year. And of course, Louisville City finished second in the East last year. Would definitely love to keep the momentum going into their second year of play as well.
Charlotte wound up winning 10 games last season, but Louisville City as an expansion team made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals after finishing second in the Eastern Conference. They went 14-8-6. That was good enough for 48 points. They defeated Charleston in the Eastern Conference semifinals, ultimately lost to the Rochester Rhinos in the Eastern Conference Championship game in upstate New York. Rochester, of course, would go on to win the USL Championship, and this is a team now that has to deal with losing the USL MVP in Matt Fondy, along with Brian Brown, who was the USL Defender of the Year. He is now playing with Jacksonville Armada of the NASL, as is former Charlotte center back Mishak Jerome. And in a way, this is a Louisville City team that is rebuilding, because tonight they will not have the services of Ilya Iljic, the Belgrade, Serbia native, who was in his second season and was a regular starter for last year's team, along with veteran Magnus Rasmussen. They did not make the trip down with the squad. And when Coach James O'Connor was asked about that, he simply gave a vague answer saying right now they're not with us. They're not a part of the team for now. They didn't travel down. And so tonight they're going to be starting some players that were not with Louisville City during their first season last year when they were members and affiliated with Orlando City of MLS.
And that's one thing you mentioned, where Coach James O'Connor, we're definitely going to be seeing, as you mentioned, new faces tonight, and he did a good job of rotating his players in the preseason. Louisville City had a 4-0-0 record in the preseason, so they are definitely looking to carry that momentum over into the regular season, and we are just about set for action here on this very cloudy and kind of blustery and somewhat spitting rain evening here, but crowd is out, and Jeff, looks like we're about ready for some soccer.
It is damp out here. It's been a cloudy, overcast day here in Charlotte. Rain was falling all throughout Salisbury and throughout the Kannapolis area. The rain tapered off about 45 minutes ago here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex, and that has affected the crowd. Jack's Militia no longer on the mech deck to the right. Instead, they are off toward the grandstand out in the left side. But things progressing here very nicely at Ramblewood Soccer Complex as Charlotte Independence gets ready for its second season. The head coach of Charlotte, Mike Jeffries, who coached the Dallas Burn, now known as FC Dallas, from 2001 to 2003 in MLS, coached the Des Moines Menace of the USL Developmental League in 2014 and last season, the first ever coach in Charlotte Independence history. There are some familiar names here for Independence starting out this season, but also some new faces as well, and faces that went up against Charlotte last year, like Jan Akra, who spent last season with Harrisburg City. He was one of the off-season signings by Tom Jeffries in the front office here at Charlotte, along with David Estrada in his 7th professional season. He spent last season in Sacramento Republic last year, also spent some time with the Orange County Blues. Going to give you the Ortho Carolina starting lineup here. Ortho Carolina, proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independence. Ortho Carolina, you improved. Let's start out with Louisville City, and we mentioned some differences that they would usually present the starting 11. We mentioned that Illich is out, so they will go with veteran Scott Goodwin in net, who played all but one game during the regular season last year for LCFC. Connor Shinosky, another veteran, will make up the back line. Also in there, Chong Jung Sun and Sean Reynolds. Kyle Smith, a midfielder, along with Aiden Quinn. Guy Aben will be a midfielder. Andrew Lubin, who played at Wake Forest and was the leading scorer 2 years for the Demon Deacons. He'll be also in the midfield. And former Richmond kicker George Davis IV, a man who scored a hat trick in the first ever matchup between Richmond and Charlotte last April. He's a midfielder. Mark Anthony Kay also in the midfield, and Chandler Hoffman will get a start at striker. You see the reserves. Interesting to note that Kareem Dakers is not in the starting lineup tonight. Also, Niall McCabe and Paulo Del Piccolo, although he is on the roster, will not start the game despite playing almost every game last season for Independence. Now for the homestanding Charlotte Independence, plenty of familiar names, but not one in net. Of course, last season was a revolving door in net between the pipes for Independence. Cody Mazel, who played last season in Iceland, played his college soccer at Clemson. He will be in net tonight. Jet Metcalf, who played in the very first Independence game and saw action last year in Louisville City's visit to UNC Charlotte. He'll be at defense tonight. Bilal Duckett is back with the team, along with Patrick Slogic and Henry Kalungi. It's a very familiar defensive line. Jan Eckler, we mentioned him. David Estrada, who played out west last season with Sacramento and the Orange County Blues. He'll be at midfield, along with a rookie in Lewis Hilton. He'll start tonight. A native of New Quay, England, who played at Young Harris College. Enzo Martinez, the veteran who played at UNC, will be at midfield. And two strikers for Independence. They'll line up Caleb Calvert, who's back with the team on loan from Colorado Rapids. And, of course, Jorge Herrera, the man who assisted on the first goal in team history. And now we're seeing the Novant Health player escorts. Novant Health, the official healthcare provider of Charlotte Independence. Novant Health, improving the health of our community one person at a time. And members of youth soccer around Charlotte joining the players out. New uniforms this year for LCFC. Last year, since they were affiliated with Orlando City, they wore purple. Tonight, they're showing off their brand new gold uniforms with white trim.
Very flashy. I like them.
And Charlotte in their royal blue uniforms with white trim. And this is the start of a big night here. Last night was opening night in USL play. And it was a night that not only did the home teams lose both games, but they failed to score. The Bethlehem Steel wound up winning its first ever game. They are one of 6 expansion franchises this year in USL. Bethlehem defeated FC Montreal 1-0. Also last night, Sacramento Republic, the 2014 USL champions, got their season off to a strong start. They defeated Seattle Sounders 2 in Washington 1-0. And earlier today, a pair of MSL reserve teams going at it. It was Toronto FC 2 tying with the New York Red Bulls 2 at 2-2, fittingly enough. Jets Militia making the trip here tonight. We mentioned earlier that they are now comprising the left grandstand, and as one banner has put it so aptly, we're back. And indeed, that is the case, and we are back here with you once again. We're very happy you're with us here on YouTube. Want to thank our director, Ryan Brown, who has made the trip up from Wingate, South Carolina, to be our director north. I forgot all about that. I don't have my sense of directions as well as I should. But Charlotte,
I forgot your GPS on the way down tonight. Huh?
Absolutely, that is the case. I'm the one making my way south. But tonight, Charlotte, as the team is being introduced here, and we talked about the revolving door, Dave, last season that Charlotte had in net. They have 5 different goalkeepers. And Cody Mazel tonight, native of Woodstock, Georgia, which is just outside of Atlanta, and his 4th professional season. He played in the NASL with Tampa Bay. In fact, his very first game with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, he managed to knock off Tampa Bay's arch rival in Fort Lauderdale. And he's got a lot riding on him this season. But the good news is he's playing with a back line directly in front of him that's very familiar with one another in Jack Metcalf, Bilal Duckett, Patrick Slogic, all those players returning players for Independence.
That is correct, Jeff. Also, Kyle Renfro, the only other goalkeeper that is on the roster for opening night. He also has seen some USL action last year with the Harrisburg City Islanders. As Jeff mentioned, one of a few Harrisburg City athletes that are now on this team. So yes, many other goaltenders are gone, but we got some new ones, and we're definitely looking forward to the season.
Absolutely. We're going to pause here for the playing of our national anthem here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. And we see the Tifo being risen right now along Jack's militia, depicting Captain James Jack, the man who delivered the papers that would make up the Constitution in 1775 all the way up to Philadelphia. He rode in from Charlotte. We are Charlotte, we are here. That is the Tifo being risen right now by Jack's militia as we gear up for game number 1 of the season. Louisville City and Charlotte will start the season against one another, and they will end the season against one another. They start off the season here tonight on March 26th, and they won't play again until September 24th, when Charlotte will make the trip up north to go up against LCFC in front of the fans, the Louisville Coopers, as they call them, the rooting section.
The Coopers.
So there's going to be plenty of soccer to be played between these two teams at some points at polls of the different season here. That's a great Tifo out there. That was wonderful
really
to see
is.
that. In fact, there was a lot of talk about Jack's militia making more Tifos, and that's a fantastic one to start out the season.
I do like that one.
Charlotte will have another home game coming up next week against Harrisburg, and then after that, their first road game will be the first game in the Queen City Challenge, a competition between
Cincinnati.
Charlotte and FC Cincinnati. That's right there,
Have you actually seen a picture of the cup? It was actually on Twitter the other day.
Yes.
It was actually very, very interesting. And, of course, both cities identify as the Queen City, so that should be quite a game.
That's exactly right. That will be the first contest between those two teams coming up in the first game in that competition. 6 expansion teams making their debut this season. 3 in the Eastern Conference, 3 in the Western Conference. It'll be Orlando City B along with Bethlehem Steel in the East. And then in the West, you have Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio FC joining the Swope Park Rangers, which is the developmental team for Sporting Kansas City. That has forced St. Louis FC to flip from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference, but they will still play against Louisville City to continue that natural rivalry. Well, the pregame is out of the way, and season number 2 for Charlotte Independence is about to get started. And how fitting it is that they go up against the team that they defeated for their very first victory, Louisville City FC, to start season number 2. Put the ball, and we are underway here this evening at an overcast Ramblewood Soccer Complex, and it is Louisville City in the white uniforms with gold trim coming out, and they'll be moving right to left here as we begin action this evening. And we talked about some of the new faces here. Indeed, it is a lot of players being forced on the job and learning under pressure here right off the bat. As Charlotte will take back over, and Patrick Slogic, the 6'6" man who was born in Okinawa, Japan, will trigger in the throw-in. Jorge Herrera tries to knife in and take possession back over, but it's sent back upfield. And back comes LCFC with it. Louisville City trying to start with strong forwards here. Enzo Martinez swiping in.
Flag is up.
And they're going to call a foul as the assistant to the far end of the field garners the ire of Enzo Martinez as he loudly protests that call. It is getting more blustery as we start tonight's festivities here between these two teams. Louisville City, the team that finished second in the Eastern Conference last year, so we'll have a free kick to the far end of the field here after the foul against Martinez. Martinez back to form a wall. Kick away, curling to the near side, and it's headed out by Henry Kalungi, and that's going to concede the first corner of the season for Louisville City. Kalungi making up that back line. And it looks like it's going to be George Davis, the fourth, coming over, the man who scored the hat trick last season for Richmond. He signed in the offseason with Louisville City. Low corner that was taken well back from distance. Slogic ejects that. Here's Martinez. Away it goes over. Mark Anthony Kay is in there for Louisville City. Ball kept in play by Chan Young Sun. And then Martinez and Sun duel for the ball. Sun hit with the infraction. And Enzo has his ire up just a little bit here after that foul a moment ago and didn't appreciate the way that Sun attacked him.
Sun, native of South Korea.
That's right. Kick is away. And the back line as Shinosky, man who was signed as a homegrown player by DC United, block made by Caleb Calvert, who was a man who frequently came off the bench last season for Coach Mike Jeffries. He played in 20 games but only started 2 of them. He sends the ball out of play. Happy you're with us here tonight on YouTube, wherever you may be watching this one, live or on demand. It is Charlotte Independence, and greetings to Louisville Coopers who might be tuning in from Kentucky as well. Herrera at the goal mouth, edge of the 18, knocked off the ball, goes down. Now the re-attempt, and the save is made. Very nice save by Goodwin as he made a lunging attempt to knock the ball away. And Charlotte nearly scores 4 minutes in. And that will turn into the first Charlotte corner of the year, and Jorge Herrera will travel out to the far end of the field to put it in play. Last year, the Mech deck was crowded with Jack's Militia. This year, they traded to the opposite end. Jorge, fans have created their own song for the veteran, the native of Colombia, who will step out and put it in play. It's an out-swinging kick. Kalungi gets a head on it, headed free. Duckett pursues it, but it's sent away from safety there by Mark Anthony Kay. And then in pursuit, we have a foul called against Charlotte as Alex Martinez was hit with that infraction. So Charlotte and Louisville City here in the 5th minute, scoreless. Louisville City last year, a member of the Orlando City organization. They were an affiliate. This year, Orlando City started its own developmental team, and a misplay in net. Bazell had it kicked away, but it goes over the end line as Chandler Hoffman was looking to put some pressure on. Here's how Charlotte wound up getting its first corner of the game. And it was Alex Martinez who put that one on net. And it forced Scott Goodwin, the native of Raleigh who played at UNC, to make the save. Goodwin had 7 clean sheets last year for Louisville City before 2015 was halfway done. Louisville City wound up losing to Charlotte 1-0, got revenge with a victory at Louisville Slugger Stadium. Here's Enzo Martinez. Had the ball blocked, and Goodwin roars back the other way here. Goodwin tries to play it free, but it eluded his intended receiver. Chandler Hoffman, Estrada playing in his first Charlotte game. Away it goes, Jack Metcalf, the man who played at Clemson. Now playing right back, frequently played midfield last year. Son away, That pass led to nothing. Mentioned other games going on this evening. Charleston Battery also playing at home tonight. Battery once again made the playoffs last season. Faced Louisville City in the playoffs. Wound up dropping that one 2-0 in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Ultimately, that would lead to Louisville City going up against Rochester, and Rochester had some tumultuous things happen to them this offseason with its front office situation despite winning the USL Championship. Now they're in better ownership hands after briefly being taken over by the league. Have a free kick called here for Charlotte, for an LCFC, I should say. Gaia Bend will play it across to Connor Shinosky, the 6'4" veteran from George Mason in his 6th professional season. Down the left, here's Sun with a nice cross headed away by Slogic.
Good wherewithal right there by Patrick to clear it out.
And Charlotte will bring it back with Caleb Calvert. Sun with an excellent challenge. Not good enough as a late foul is called, much to the protest of Chung Young Sun. And the South Korean native hit with his 2nd foul, and he's been quite active on both ends. Metcalf playing right back tonight. It'll be interesting to see how Patrick Slogic will be as we take a look at this foul. We're going to know a look at it here. Instead, Henry Kalungi will take over as the ball went off the face of 77 Andrew Laban, young man who played at Wake Forest in his 2nd professional season. Spent last year with Harrisburg City, played 9 games. And speaking of which, he's roaring up the right side right now. Laban going to play it over for Hoffman. That cross was a bit wide. Metcalf will try to head it free to the flank. Can't clear it. George Davis IV cuts it off. Here's Aiden Quinn. A curl into the box. Knocked off balance there was Kay as he goes after it in the corner, but he'll lose the lace. Enzo Martinez got to the ball first and was tripped from behind, leading to an LCFC foul. Live here tonight, and we're very happy you're with us here as we have a brand new stadium, a brand new year, and a brand new league for all intents and purposes. The Austin Aztecs of the Western Conference not playing this season because of stadium issues. They will be back in the league next year, and already Reno,
yes, that's true,
is going to get
Reno.
a team. They announced their nickname just the other day. And they will officially join USL in 2017. Free kick triggered down the field. There's Slogic heading it away, the former Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year, and we have an injury. Looks like that player that went down there was Gaia Bend. He was holding his right eye, and Jorge Herrera might have been the guilty party, comes over to help him up. Jorge Herrera last season, all USL first team 3 times, and was a USL MVP finalist back in 2008 when Charlotte was known as the Charlotte Eagles. Now the Eagles playing in the Development League of USL. This is his 9th USL season tonight. The veteran who makes his way up from Rock Hill, South Carolina every morning for training, along with Alex Martinez, and has become a prominent fixture here for Queen City Soccer. Kalungi pressures to the far corner. Kalungi keeping that ball in play to clear, as neither team has been able to churn much of a scoring opportunity here over the last few minutes. Charlotte had one great chance from Alex Martinez a moment ago, but it was a sprawling save by Scott Goodwin to turn it back. Both teams have had a corner, and now Patrick Slogic will trigger the ball back in as Charlotte looks to work in its attacking end. Charlotte playing 4 of its first 5 at home here in Ramblewood. It's important to get off to a good start, needless to say, but especially against teams that are young, such as FC Cincinnati and Bethlehem as well. Next week will be Harrisburg City, who no longer have the affiliation with Philadelphia Union. That was the express purpose of why Bethlehem still was created, to have a closer tie for Philadelphia Union. Have a foul whistled against Estrada as he was holding George Davis IV back from that ball. Wearing the captain's armband, Aiden Quinn goes far into Sean Reynolds, man who started the USL Eastern Conference Championship game last year for Louisville City against Rochester. I want to remind you about Yellow Cab. Need a ride? Download the YC mobile app and use promo code INDEPENDENCE for $15 off your first ride. Yellow Cab of Charlotte, official transportation provider of Charlotte Independence. In the 11th minute now. Defensive game, certainly nothing new here for Louisville City. Son plays it down a little bit behind George Davis IV, and now allow time for Mazzell to come out of net and play it and put it to safety. Last year, it was a tight defensive effort by Louisville City, game in and game out. Only gave up 34 goals the entire season. That was tied for 6th in the league, and there Caleb Calvert was just a tad bit offside. And don't forget about Nike, the official sponsor of USL and USLsoccer.com. Go to Nike.com to learn more. Nike, a proud sponsor of the USL. Right down the right end, ball goes out of bounds off of Enzo Martinez. So Charlotte in their royal blue uniforms with white trim. And a nice chip in the box. The lead just goes a tad far for Chandler Hoffman, and a good play by Mazzell to let that one go. And it's going to stay with Charlotte now. Wind starts to pick up a little bit, but it's very similar in a lot of ways to last year's season opener. It was probably about 15 degrees cooler that night. That was over at Transamerica Stadium at UNC Charlotte, where over 2,200 fans watched Charlotte drop a decision to Charleston Battery.
And I was one of them.
That's right. Jack's Militia had a grand outing that night. And Jack Thompson scored the first goal in team history. Estrada plays it away for Metcalf. He eludes the sliding tackle attempt by George Davis IV. Round it goes to the far end, and the pass there.
Just past Slogic.
Yep. That one triggered by Lewis Hilton, a man who recently graduated from Young Harris College. And it's funny, the more you examine this league, the more you notice a lot of Young Harris graduates coming from that area and playing in this league. As this tackle attempt made there by Slogic just a moment ago. Speaking of Hilton, he comes up to knock the ball away. Here's Quinn going to the far end of the field. Then taken down from behind is Enzo Martinez, and that leads to a whistle that perhaps Enzo didn't hear. He wanted to restart things a little quicker than he should have. Right now, both these teams trying to get into a flow of a game, and it's been a struggle this far. George Davis IV trying to get position for a pass, failing to do so. Metcalf playing the right back, sends a long ball up the field. Caller races for it, but Shinosky will shield him off, and Goodwin takes it in. Shinosky down to the left side. He'll play a long ball, looking for Son. Instead, Belial Duckett heads it on. Hilton with a lead goes off the head of Jan Ekra, playing his first official game in a Charlotte uniform. Ekra beaten to the ball there. And then number 12, Mark Anthony Kay, comes over. Kay, young man from Toronto, played with Toronto FC2 last season. He was on the field for Charlotte's final home game, which was a victory over Toronto FC2. Ultimately, it wasn't enough to get Charlotte into the playoffs, as they missed getting in by 1 point, losing games to St. Louis FC and Charleston Battery in the final 2 tilts of the year. Ball goes over the end line, last touch by Louisville City. Louisville City had their playoff slot firmly intact for much of the way, but unfortunately for them, they couldn't top Rochester. Rochester ended the season with the USL Championship and lost only 1 game all season, and that came here on this very field when Charlotte put up a season-high 4 goals in a 4-2 victory. The goal kick there by Cody Mazzell, 6'1" professional in his 4th year. Out of play into the Charlotte bench, and Coach Mike Jeffries off without his blazer on tonight. Intensely watching. Charlotte did have several friendlies. They defeated UNC Charlotte, lost to the Carolina Railhawks this year 1-0 after they defeated both games, both the Railhawks in both games last season, won a friendly and then defeated them in the second round of the U.S. Open Cup. Son manages to track down a long pass, fields a cross that Kalungi sends away to midfield, and then Shinosky plays it away. Chung Young Son being pressed now by Estrada, sends it away to Gaia Bent. Ben plays it down to the right side. Sean Reynolds. Cross played into the net, and a very nice play that time by
Bilal Duckett getting in there.
Yep, Lyle Duckett and Kalungi. See Coach Jeffries there telling his team to watch out for crosses like that and wants his back line a little more organized as they were slightly bent. It was Kalungi, though, who came over to knock it away. Here comes George Davis the fourth now, as he's going to send away his second corner of the night, and just like the first one, he'll play it wide. Sends it away to Mark Anthony Kay. Look to chip it in the box. It was knocked down nicely by Akra, and Charlotte looks to counter. Akra has Estrada with him down to the right. Akra will opt to go to the left with it. Now he flips the field looking for Metcalf. It's headed away, putting the pressure on Hilton, looking to field it to Metcalf, who was overlapping, but the pass was errant. In the 17th minute here, Charlotte had one notable opportunity with a shot on net in the 4th minute by Alex Martinez, but that's been the biggest threat thus far in this one, as these two teams have spent most of the time fielding one another out. Play up the field by Kay. And then Enzo Martinez duels and ultimately wins the ball. Patrick Slogic, returning face from last year, scored the first game-winning goal in team history. Enzo Martinez assisted on that one against Louisville City, a free kick, just moments after Enzo had checked into the game. One of the first, in fact, the first of 5 substitutions that Coach Mike Jeffries made that night at Transamerica Stadium. Slogic headed in the winner, and Charlotte took home its first 3-point night in team history, downing LCFC 1-0. Shinosky with the ball. John calling for it down the left flank. Instead plays it to George Davis IV, the veteran who played with Richmond last season, also previously played with the Los Angeles Blues in 2012. In his 6th season from Lima, Ohio, but certainly no stranger to Kentucky as George Davis IV. He played his first 2 years of college soccer at Bowling Green and his last 2 years with, naturally, the Kentucky Wildcats after a transfer. Block put down by Herrera on a long ball attempt made by Quinn, and a foul will be whistled. It was out of bounds, excuse me. Here's Metcalf as the clock ticks on here in the first half. Metcalf along the near sideline, looks and lobs it in. Hilton will play the header along. Estrada had a nice ball delivered his way, but he got his spikes up high as Shinosky approached the ball, and he'll be hit with a dangerous play foul. Charlotte keeping its affiliation with the Colorado Rapids alive for another year, and that's the reason why Caleb Calvert is here. Metcalf heads it away. Hilton plays it along to Metcalf. He'll tuck it up the right sideline. Over the head of Caleb Calvert. Shinosky, here's Jean. Moves it to the right. And up the field comes Quinn. He'll send it backwards. Jack's Militia watching on intently from the end zone. Ball played to the right, a sloppy pass that Metcalf has no problem turning away. It's tucked up to the midfield area, and that's where Scott Goodwin will await it. Goodwin didn't allow more than one goal in a game until the 9th contest of the year. That was a 3-all tie against St. Louis FC last season.
Several clean sheets to his name last season.
Played 2 matches in the U.S. Open Cup, a victory over Indy 11 of the NASL before they ultimately lost to the Chicago Fire. Chicago advanced to face Charlotte Independence. Of course, Independence had the longest run of any USL team in the USOC before falling to the Fire 3-1 at Toyota Park. Ball played away nicely, and Charlotte's back line is playing very well in this one early. Ball stepping over.
Sent out.
And sent out immediately there. David Estrada did a good job But Bilal Duckett and Henry Kalungi making up a solid center back tandem. And if you're watching the United States versus Guatemala last night, you may not be familiar with a solid center back tandem, but this is what it looks like so far. And now we have a Charlotte player down. Allen went on to the far end of the field, and it looks like it was Lewis Hilton who was tripped up there.
And Slogic wanted a foul right there, or maybe a yellow card. He's not going to get it.
Felt like that he should. And now Slogic looks like he's going to be the one. Or maybe it's not going to be a card. Well, let's see here. There is going to be a card issued.
Someone has been booked.
Mark Anthony Kay loudly protesting, and indeed a card is going to be held up against him. So Mark Anthony Kay picks up the first yellow of the year for LCFC. As a Rush fan's favorite time, 21:12 surpasses on the clock. Free kick can be triggered. Herrera makes a run at it. It's played into the box, aimed to the far end. Estrada didn't have it at the right angle, and it curls over the end line. So Mark Anthony Kay, the 6'1", 25-year-old, hit with the yellow card after the foul against Lewis Hilton. Here comes Louisville City back, pressuring the other way. And a scoreless game here in the 22nd minute. And now from distance, a shot attempt and a great save.
Beautiful save.
Cody Mazzell had to launch himself at it as George Davis IV was in open field. And as Charlotte found out the hard way last year in Richmond, you leave that man in open field and bad things happen.
Mazzell is a foot to his left, Jeff. Yep. That's in.
So now Hoffman will trigger the free kick. Here comes the corner, delving inside. It is headed away by Kalungi nicely, and now be kicked out to midfield by Hilton. Let's take a look at that shot once again here. George Davis IV had a golden opportunity at this one, and that was not an easy save. And keep in mind, Cody Mazzell making his first domestic start in a couple of years here after playing last season in Iceland. NASL veteran in his 4th professional season. Doing a good job in that. And once again, Henry Kalungi doing a good job of keeping the ball in play with Jan Ekra doing what he did last season for Harrisburg City. Sloppy clearance here by Goodwin, but still Shinoski sends it away to safety. Up the near sideline, here is Chang Young Sun. Cut off by Metcalf.
Metcalf has looked good so far.
He has looked solid. Charlotte's back line has looked solid. Enzo Martinez runs down to the right. Plays alongside Estrada with a one-touch. Herrera approaching. Estrada tucks it into the 18. Herrera will track it down at the end line, and it's kicked away over the net, and it'll lead to another Charlotte corner. So Herrera doing a good job improvising there as he and Estrada appear to have their wires crossed. And Herrera will take the corner now. We'll see how many men Charlotte puts in the box here. Enzo Martinez in. Bilal Duckett, some of the big bodies getting in there, and this is typically where the 6'6" frame of Patrick Slogic comes in the most handy. Herrera in on the right, approaches. Here's the corner. Curls in toward the 18. Getting ahead on it was Kalungi, but it was never seriously in danger, and it leads to a Louisville City goal kick. I want to mention also Sprint Communications. I want to thank them and some other sponsors for their support of Charlotte Independence. Roll Oral and Facial Surgery, Sprint Communications, make that Spirit Communications. Also, Skyview Dentistry, the U.S. National Whitewater Center, and Dick's Sporting Goods. We thank all of the sponsors for the second season of Charlotte Independent Soccer. And we're very happy to bring it to you here. Charlotte wins the ball after the goal kick. Ekra away to Herrera. Jan will play it back down to the right. Metcalf is overlapping again. And that's going to lead to another corner. So Charlotte now starting to take advantage of the pressing style of Louisville City as they opt to move it down the right sideline using the experience of Jan Ekra and Jorge Herrera, who will take another corner here. Down to the right, sweeps into the 6, free chance at it, and it was kicked away to the right. Herrera will keep it in play. And that'll lead to another golden opportunity for Charlotte going by the boards. Looked like that Jan Ekra had a chance inside the 6 that time.
George Davis the 4th, kicking it out.
Jorge will play it down to the right, 4th corner of the night for Independence. Swings in, Slogic gets a head on it, but it goes wide left. Looked like Kalungi right at about the 6-yard box. But George Davis, as you mentioned there, Dave, came up big, and George Davis has been a thorn at Charlotte's side in its brief existence. So Scott Goodwin will kick it away here. No real wind here over the last few minutes. It was a short kick that goes out of play, and they'll be awarded to Louisville City, much to the protest of Mike Jeffries. And despite the overcast weather and rain that fell about 90 minutes before kickoff, a good crowd has formed into Ramblewood Soccer Complex. And this is going to be Charlotte's home for the entire season. No more traveling to 3 different sites to get a home game in. Here's a good long lead pass. Lofty finish attempt goes over the net. Golden opportunity there for Chandler Hoffman. As you see members of Jack's Militia, Chandler had a golden lead pass that time, as we'll see here. Or excuse me, that was 77. That was Andrew Laban. See some of the regulars who have been coming here to Ramblewood, and those folks have been real troopers. They started coming to games. Dave, you know this very well.
Yes,
over at
I do.
Transamerica Stadium. You had to wait from week to week almost last year
We
to
did.
find out what stadium would host which game.
I remember waiting for the emails.
Yeah. Then you had to wait and find out if a game was going to be played over at Winthrop in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and now here at Ramblewood, where Charlotte will call home for now.
I did like the setup there at Winthrop. It was
Certainly.
just had such a great feeling. Definitely just a very southern feeling, a southern university, and yeah, it was quite a facility. But very happy to be here at Ramblewood.
Ramblewood now the home, and the press box and VIB suite still being constructed. Jan Ekra takes the ball away. His attempt was disrupted by Quinn. Ball played, running out for it is Duckett. Sends it up the field, racing for it is Calvert. Sends alongside to Estrada, and Charlotte looks to attack once again. Running the ball down will be Hilton. He'll get it before it goes over the end line, but then he had it taken away. Now the lead pass going up the field. This is Andrew Laban,
Flag is up.
and they call him for offside.
Jeff, is it just me, or do the new uniforms for Louisville City FC resemble that of Swansea City over there in the Premier League? The gold with the stripes on the shirt and the gold shorts.
That's a good choice if you're going to make it. There's a natural comparison to be made there, certainly, and that's one of them. Here's Jack Metcalf. Herrera with a one-touch. Judging the ball very well, but Metcalf's pass was errant, and George Davis, the 4th now, will take over down the left flank. Metcalf will mark him and take the ball away and get tripped up and draw a foul.
That was George Davis the 4th tripping up Jack.
And you're right about those Swansea City looks there. Absolutely, that's the case. It's a long way from the royal purple that Louisville City had last season. Louisville City used those gold uniforms and put them on and had a 4-0 start in their friendly season with games against Louisville University and Kentucky University. Had a very successful preseason overall.
They did, 4-0. Also over the Indy 11 of the NASL.
That's right. As USL continued its dominance of their NASL counterparts. Last year, USL teams defeated the NASL in all but one of the games in the U.S. Open Cup. Nice play by Mark Anthony Kay, who received a yellow earlier. And Louisville City looks to mount some offensive momentum here as they've had a rather rhythmless direction throughout the course of this first half as we approach the 30th minute. Shinosky awaits a ball, played from his opposite center back. Now it's going to be Laban away to Sun, disrupted by Metcalf, and a foul. I think it's going to be a handball call here against Louisville City. Talked about Charlotte. They finished 7th in the East last year.
So close to the playoffs. So close.
Missed it by 1 point. Things look quite promising after their final game here at home against Toronto FC2. They also defeated Pittsburgh in what was a really intense game.
That it was. I remember that one.
I was on a weeknight here, and it featured two former Charlotte players nearly getting into a fight. Ben Noonan, who's now with Louisville City. In fact, Ben was supposed to play here tonight, but he is sitting out a suspension due to a red card he received at the end of last season when he was playing with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. He was released right after a victory by Charlotte, right after a game with the New York Red Bulls 2, and during the week in between games against New York and Pittsburgh, he signed with Pittsburgh, and that led to him and Ryan Finley, a former teammate, going nose to nose in an argument that almost cleared benches.
And many cards issued there, too.
That's right. There were several red cards issued. Ryan is now playing in Sweden with the Division II team there after leaving the United States in the offseason. Slogic down the left side. Scoreless here in the 32nd minute. Charlotte has had two good chances. One off a short corner. Push from behind. That won't lead to a foul. Enzo Martinez cuts off the ball. Enzo chest one down. And he'll relent to play it back to Henry Kalungi. Bilal Duckett not wearing number 15 this year. He has changed uniforms. He's wearing number 3 this season. He brings it up the right sideline and sends a ball that's going no place. Charlotte's main opportunity came off the foot of Lewis Hilton early on. That led to a diving save by Scott Goodwin. George Davis IV for Louisville City had the best shot on net for Louisville City about 10 minutes ago. That led to a save by tonight's Charlotte goalkeeper, Cody Mazzell. Metcalf leads to a throw on a pass that was intended for Herrera. Fans have brought their jackets and their sweaters this evening, along with their sweatshirts.
Glad I brought my jacket.
That's right.
I almost didn't.
Herrera curls to midfield, but that was cut off quickly by George Davis IV and Mark Anthony Kay. And back comes the former Wake Forest star, Andrew Laban. Kay tries to take it back over. That leads to a throw as it goes over the boundary off the foot of Herrera. Here comes 19, Jonyang Sun. Ekra tries to defend that and deflect it. He does so, but Sean Reynolds, the veteran center back for Louisville City, there to keep it in play. Here's Ekra taking a loose ball. Chipped back into play by Shinosky, but over the head of George Davis IV. We talked about the 6 expansion teams. That has led to a brand new league, and it's also led to a playoff setup that will be different from last year. This year, the top 8 teams from each conference will make the playoffs. So you'll have 16 teams making the playoffs and no byes. So you'll have the first round champion, the regular season champion, potentially getting eliminated from the playoffs in the first week by the team that finishes in 8th place. Here's Slogic now on the overlap run to the far end of the field. This is Estrada. Slogic plays it for Martinez just outside the 18. Martinez from distance deflected, and Goodwin will have to retrieve it before it goes over the end line before a corner is conceded. Jonyang Sun away to Shinosky. Shinosky, part of a back line that allowed the 3rd fewest goals in USL last season. Shinosky, along with Brian Burke, who, as we mentioned earlier, was the USL Defender of the Year, now playing for the Jacksonville Armada of the NASL. Son roars up the left sideline. Caleb Calvert is on to pressure him. Calvert making his first start after only starting 2 games last season. He scored the game winner against FC Montreal in Canada in what was a vital win at that time for Charlotte's playoff chances. Fans, don't forget about USLsoccer.com. You can get statistics, learn more about the standings, learn more about the brand new league that is the 2016 season with 6 expansion teams. Information available online, and learn more about how you can catch each and every USL game on USLsoccer.com. It's all available on YouTube, and if you're a real soccer connoisseur, you can catch some of the West Coast games tonight. They'll take place right after this contest ends. Louisville, with the ball deep in their 3rd, will have to concede a throw here as the ball went off of Mark Anthony Kay out of bounds in the 36th minute. Neither team's really been able to get into a sustained flow in this game, though, Dave, I think you would agree that Charlotte had the flow for about 3 or 4 minutes here early on.
Only team with one clear shot to put the ball in the back of the net.
Oh, boy.
Whoa, quite a collision there.
Quite a dangerous play put forward, and Caleb Calvert hits the deck hard. As that was none other than Sean Reynolds, who got up and went way over his back, and Caleb
going to take another look at that. Calvert waiting for the ball. Reynolds come right over top, knocking Caleb down. Looked like he may have caught him there on the back of the head, but Caleb does appear to be okay.
Pass up the left sideline. Jan Ecker is there to swing in. The defensive midfielder churns it up. Away it goes to number 11, David Estrada. Young man who wound up scoring an incredible amount of goals in high school. He scored 11 goals in one game. To this day, that's the second most in California high school history.
Wow.
And for the first time, he's playing away from his home state of California after spending last year with with the Orange County Blues in Sacramento. He was cut by Sacramento last August. Scored 3 goals last season and also had 6 assists with Sacramento Republic. In goes number 12, Mark Anthony Kay, in the attacking third here for Louisville City, but there to clear it is Hilton, and he brings it up the field. Sean Reynolds swings it back to Goodwin as we approach the final 10 minutes here of the first half. Reynolds down to the right. Louisville City starting to get more possession here, but then Jan Ecker comes up from behind. Thought he made a clean strip of the ball, but the official disagrees, and that's going to lead to a foul and a free kick coming up for LCFC. George Davis IV was the man who drew it. Looked like this was clean at first, but he wound up getting his back heel, and that turned out to be a good call. So Ecker, who assisted on a goal last year for Harrisburg City against Charlotte, son, Connor Shinosky, Sean Reynolds, the defenseman, goes to the far end. Reynolds from Walton Beach, Florida, made a game-saving tackle in that victory in the playoffs after Charleston. Looked like they had an opportunity to score very early on in that game at Slugger Field. Here's Metcalf, and we have a whistle that came on a delay, and looks like that Aiden Quinn was hit with a foul as Hilton was hit from behind there after he gained possession in the 38th minute. Metcalf will trigger up to the far end of the field. Slogic has been an attacking back, Dave, and an overlapping one here, and we'll see it in action as Slogic was tackled from behind, and the ball is sent away very nicely. And now we have another whistle and a foul called here against Charlotte.
I had the chance to talk with Patrick this past Wednesday at the Independence Media Day, and he said the back line, of course, which consists of himself, Kalungi, and Duckett, they've been working out together all off-season, so there's going to be that much more gelled going into the 2016 campaign.
The right back was the position that was really in question for Charlotte after the departure of Meshach Jerome, who was a regular center back, and Jack Metcalf has filled in that role quite admirably tonight, even though he played midfield for much of last season. Son with a long cross, and that is brought down nicely by the goalkeeper, Cody Mazzell. We'll take a look at the push that was called here. And it was Calvert who delivered it and took down Guy Bent. Caleb Calvert mistimed his jump that time, and Louisville City winds up getting possession out of it with Quinn playing to the right side. Going down the far end of the field, LCFC has their penetration cut off as Slogic plays it away with his right boot. Delving for the ball, Estrada can't get it. Guy Bend is there to take back over. He'll play across. This is going in net, and it goes right into Cody Mazzell, who tucks it into his body. In the 40th minute, notice some Louisville players have gone off the bench, and they're starting to work out. You wonder if their head coach, James O'Connor, who's in his second season at the helm, will make a substitution before the first half whistle sounds. Enzo Martinez goes down at midfield, but no whistle. And that's going to lead to 77, Andrew Laban coming over to take over possession. Metcalf cuts off the pass. Martinez plays it up. Chinoski there to cut it off. This is Son. He's got Mark Anthony Kay to his left. He'll take over the reins. This is Quinn over to Son down the left wing. Drops it off for Mark Anthony Kay on the right. And he'll relent to send it back over to Connor Chinoski. Reynolds at midfield, down to the right. Talked about James O'Connor. He was a man who played at various levels. The cross comes in, heading that away. Metcalf right at the edge. Kay plays it along to the right, and it goes through the box untouched. Some danger there, as these two teams have really struggled to manage to gain possession in opposing boxes. There it was a brief chance for Kay. He thought he had a cross available, but that ball went untouched as it crawled on through the grass. James O'Connor played for 4 English professional teams, but never played in a Premier League game. He wound up playing for Stoke City and helped them get promoted to League One back in 2002. And of course, Stoke City would go on to play in the Premier League after getting relegated last season. They're now on the verge of getting promoted right back in the Championship. But he never once played. He also played for Hull City, but never played in a Premier League game. Came to America, played in USL when Orlando City was a part of USL.
Hull City also looking to get back to the Premier League.
That's true.
After being relegated.
Header away as Hilton provided the cross, but it was defended nicely by Sean Reynolds. Don't forget to get updates about USL. Go to USL social media on Twitter and on Facebook. You can also check them out on Instagram and check out their Vines as well. That is USL social media. You can learn more about what's going on. They have updates from all games going on throughout the night here tonight. It's a big night here on kickoff weekend and USL action. They started last night with 2 games. We mentioned Bethlehem Steel winning its first ever game as they defeated FC Montreal. And also, it was Seattle falling at home to the 2014 USL champions, Sacramento Republic. Jan Ekra takes the brief touch by Estrada, charges up the field. Goes wide to the right, trying to track it down, and doing so nicely is Enzo Martinez, the former Tar Heel who's rooting on UNC right now, as they will try to make the Final Four tomorrow when they take on Notre Dame. And his penetration there leads to a throw. This is Jack Metcalf, who's been an attacking back, and Coach Jeffries hasn't been afraid to send backs tonight. Martinez chips it in. That's played up in the air. Reynolds will try to head it out of the box, and he succeeds. A bend, moves it up the field. Here comes Laban up the other way, but a nice tackle made by Slogic. Down to the right for Martinez. Slogic doing everything he can. He's a ubiquitous presence out there, but the lead pass by Martinez is well far from Jack Metcalf. Slogic can do a little bit of everything. He can be an attacking back. He can head away corners. He can head away crosses. In fact, he's got one coming his way right now, but he can also do the little things like tackle and a hard knockoff, and a foul will be called. Estrada got in position there to make something happen on a bend. Now Ekra plays it to the right. Herrera looks to do something in open field. Opts the flip to the right. Enzo Martinez charges to the 18. His clearance and a shot and a golden opportunity that goes wide. Just a mishit there by Caleb Calvert.
Wow.
He put it in the Met deck when he wanted to put it, and not only put it in the net, but take down the net with it. Just a miss hit here on a beautiful setup by Enzo Martinez. Well, it was actually Enzo having that pass go off a foot. It looked like it went off a Ben's foot. Regardless, Charlotte misses an opportunity. Ekra to the right. Hilton attacks. Estrada can't gain the pass in. Son is there to play it free. Up comes Quinn. He'll send it up the field. And here comes Guy Bent. Lead pass up the field. Mark Anthony Kay will track this down in the box in the 18. Trying to put pressure. Kay has it go wide to the right. He's pleading for a corner, but won't get it.
Good defense right there.
Nice job by Jack Metcalf, as you'll take another look at it here. Metcalf was late charging. Nope. Just appeared to be another miss hit. We've seen them on both ends now, and golden opportunities for both teams as we approach the potential for added time here. Haven't seen any signs that there will be, as the fourth official comes up, and now there will be 1 minute. 1 minute of added time here in the first half. And a half where neither team has done all that much, and the back lines have really controlled things. The flashes of offense have been few and far between. Slogic can't dig it away from danger. Throw coming up here for 24, Kyle Smith, who is apparently now in the game, and he had to give up possession. Didn't see a substitution there, but
I didn't either.
Clearly him. As that 1 minute begins to slowly weigh off the clock. This is Quinn. Shinosky, nearly a misplay. Enzo Martinez almost made him pay for it. Son, and that is the first half whistle. So it was an opening half of soccer, and that's about all you could say for the first half there. As two teams that are trying to get used to playing with one another and gain experience, really slogged it out. And some sloppy play there punctuates the first half, and we'll move on to halftime here with Charlotte and Louisville City locked up in a scoreless duel here in the season opener from Ramblewood Soccer Complex. David, we were wondering what Charlotte's attack would look like without some of its prime movers in Paulo Del Piccolo, Meshach Jerome, and it looked about the way we thought it would look.
I agree with that.
A work in progress for the most part.
Most definitely. Well, obviously a team with a lot of new players. They got to learn each other's tendencies and gel together. Of course, it is just first game of the season for both teams, and they just have to work together, get the rhythm down, and we'll see if either team can come out with a rhythm in the second half.
It's absolutely going to be the case, and we'll see if Charlotte can utilize some of the play from Jorge Herrera as you take a look at members of Jack's Militia. Good crowd here on opening night. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back with highlights and statistics from the first half. Louisville City and Charlotte scoreless at the end of the first 45 minutes of action. We'll be back from the Queen City in just a moment. And it surrounds basically about 10 or 11 other fields here that these youngsters work on day in and day out. They want to be professionals, just like the players playing on the turf tonight. And in this season opener, the first half looked a lot like a season opener, with players still trying to learn how to play along with one another and gain experience. We're scoreless here. Jeff Hamlin with you here as we get ready for tonight's second half between these two teams. And Dave, in this first half here, as we take a look at the stats here, both teams really struggled to get shots on net.
Yes, they have.
And it really was not a half where either team dominated the other. It was a player or two that came up big. In Charlotte's case, Enzo Martinez had set up some golden opportunities, but ultimately Charlotte couldn't take advantage of them. And George Davis IV does what he does so well and what he's been doing in this league for years and years, and that's set up opportunities. But ultimately, again, Louisville City couldn't cash in on those opportunities.
That's right, Cody. Like you said, when it happened, Cody Mazzell really had to stretch out to keep that ball out of the back of the net and keep Louisville from taking the lead.
Cody Mazzell in net for Louisville City after starting 27 games last season for LCFC. In his third professional season, the Raleigh native made one sprawling save, and we'll get to the highlights here in just a moment. In fact, let's take a look at that save that came in the 4th minute of this one, and really this turned out to be, in hindsight, the best opportunity for either team in the first half of play. Charlotte got this one. It was Estrada going for a ball, and it turned into an opportunity for Lewis Hilton, a rookie, playing his first professional game. And that sprawling save made by Scott Goodwin turned out to be vital. But then on the other end, George Davis IV got away this shot here in open field from about 25 yards, and it led to Cody Mazzell, who spent last season in Iceland, making a diving right stop. Charlotte had some chances from corners. They had an edge in corner kicks, and there you saw an opportunity for Henry Kalungi, who was ubiquitous during the first half of play. Patrick Slodgett tried to head in a ball that was triggered by Caleb Calvert. That one wound up triggering wide. And then number 77, Andrew Laban, had a chance early on a first touch that was not smooth at all. Marth Anthony Kay had that sprawling cross that crawled right through the box. And then Kay would have his own opportunity after beating Jack Metcalf up the field. Metcalf roared back down and protection and ultimately forced a shot by Kay to go wide. And then Enzo Martinez setting up Caleb Calvert here. Calvert from the edge of the 6 just missed hit it, and the second his foot cleared that ball, he immediately grasped his hands across his forehead, realizing what he had done, and really it wasn't all that he had hoped for, that opportunity. And Dave, in the second half here, we talked about Jack Metcalf playing right back. He spent so much of last year playing midfield. I thought his defensive presence was very good, but his passing could have been better.
It really could have, and that's going to be the key for both teams. Obviously, get the forwards and the strikers, get them going forward towards the goals, put pressure on the defense. Personally, I think that's the only way either team is going to break through and find the back of the net here in the second half of play.
Finals from today. First win of the season for the Richmond Kickers. They defeated Harrisburg City 3-1. The Kickers got a quick start. Also tonight, FC Cincinnati playing its first ever game. They're taking on Charleston Battery, and also the first ever game for Orlando City B, the new reserve side for the Orlando City Lions of MLS. They will take on the Wilmington Hammerheads. Colorado Springs playing Oklahoma City in a game that just kicked off. Rio Grande Valley FC playing its first ever game against the Tulsa Roughnecks. Also tonight, the Swope Park Rangers playing its first ever game, the brand new side. That's a production from Sporting Kansas City. They're going up against Portland Timbers 2, and St. Louis FC making its debut as a Western Conference team. Last year they were an Eastern Conference squad. They're taking on Real Marnox SLC. The Vancouver Whitecaps will face the Orange County Blues tonight. Also, the Los Angeles Galaxy 2, who won the Western Conference Championship last year in the playoffs, where they ultimately lost to the Rochester Rhinos in the USL Championship game. They will host Arizona United SC. And there'll be one midweek game next week, a couple of midweek games actually on Wednesday, with Los Angeles Galaxy playing its first home game against Arizona United, and also, or against St. Louis FC, I should say, and also Arizona United going up against Seattle. So a full week worth of action in the opening weekend kickoff for USL. And Charlotte will have opening kickoff here in the second half as the youngsters were whisked off the field just moments ago, and the final 45 minutes will begin shortly here. Henry Colungi, I was impressed with his play, and really I was impressed with the entire back line for Charlotte there, and it seemed like in many instances, Dave, they were starting opportunities that Independence ultimately couldn't finish for a goal.
I do believe so, yeah. As you said, you just said, a lot of the defenders came up into the box, especially on the corner kicks. Get Patrick Slogic in there. As you also said, mentioned his 6'6" frame, definitely could head it into the goal, but ultimately just were not able to convert on those opportunities.
We'll see if Charlotte can turn things around here in the second half. Well, there's not much turning around that needs to be done. The two teams from a statistical standpoint and really from all aspects were pretty darn even in the first 45 minutes of play. Had almost the same number of shots, did have the same number of shots on goal, 1. Both goalkeepers working themselves into shape. Scott Goodwin doesn't need to do that much work, obviously, after playing 27 games last year and only yielding 32 goals, made 87 saves. Man who played with the Carolina Railhawks and made his debut with the Railhawks when they defeated Chivas USA in the 2014 U.S. Open Cup, and Carolina would go on to defeat the Los Angeles Galaxy before they ultimately lost to FC Dallas in that year's version of the U.S. Open Cup. Charlotte moving down the left end in front of Jack's Militia. Enzo Martinez attempts to track down a ball, and he ultimately will force a throw-in as John Young-son, the South Korean native, as Dave told you earlier, kicked that ball over the sideline.
Don't appear to see any new additions for the second half, Jeff, at least not just yet, other than Kyle Smith, who came on right before the end of the first half for Louisville City FC. Charlotte keeping their starters on the field.
Colungi, Belial Duckett, playing to the far end, sends a diagonal cross from Martinez that's headed away by Mark Anthony Kay and out of play. Mark Anthony Kay has the only booking in the game thus far. Colungi to Jan Ekra. Pass to the end of the field. Estrada takes it on the edge of the box, chips it forward for Herrera. That was cut off by Son, who fields it away from danger. Guy Abend will play it up the field. Abend overshot the intended receiver, Chandler Hoffman, and that leads to Belial Duckett taking over. Colungi with Kay pressuring him, sends it back over the end line. Neither team able to gain much of an advantage here in the early going. It's just been a lot of long passes and long balls that have led to nothing. That's been basically the core of this game for the most part. Elbowed off the ball is Kay, very nicely by Lewis Hilton. Chips it forward, but wide. Hilton was taken down looking for a foul, none given. Hilton arguably earned a foul of his own with a no call, and perhaps that was a good no call on both ends. Here's Duckett. Ekra at midfield. Chips it to the right, catching up with it Estrada, who's going from end to end. Slogic takes over left back. Estrada in his first game with Independence. Chips it ahead for Martinez, but the ball was won by Reynolds, who heads it forward, and it's taken down by George Davis IV, who's playing his first game with LCFC. Now to the far end, number 2, Jack Metcalf, who's playing right back tonight after spending much of last season as a midfielder. Caleb Calvert.
Metcalf, native first start. Of Liverpool. Excuse me,
right
there, Jeff.
He is a native of Liverpool and
came up through their youth system along with Wolverhampton.
Journeyed across the Atlantic to play with Clemson University, and he sends that one into the bench. Metcalf, in his second professional season, is a business major, and he helped Clemson qualify for the NCAA tournament as a fullback in his senior season. He had 3 assists in his final year in Death Valley. Just underway with the second half. As play goes to the far end, and Louisville City will keep it as the ball goes into their bench. And even though only one substitution has been made for Louisville City, the reserves continue their workouts, and Charlotte's bench is just now getting up, and they will start their workouts as Coach Mike Jeffries might opt to add some spark to his lineup.
Kyle Smith bringing it up.
Here's Smith with the idle pass, and it was headed away very nicely by Belial Duckett over the far end line. So it's Duckett in there, and Slogic momentarily playing as a center back. Calvert with an interception, then taken down. That leads to a foul.
Aiden Quinn, they're on the trip up.
Guy Bend was the man guilty of that infraction. Never got a notification as to who Smith came in for a moment ago at the very end of the first half. We were told before the game that Ilya Illich, who is a regular player with Louisville City and was a regular starter last year, did not make the trip, nor did veteran Magnus Rasmussen. And the only explanation delivered by Louisville City coach James O'Connor was right now they just aren't part of the unit, whatever that meant. That was a vague explanation, but that's all that we could get. Enzo Martinez takes the pass very nicely. He'll spring up the field, looking for a trailer. Too many white shirts in front of him. Then he's taken down by Mark Anthony Kay, and the Toronto FC product goes up the field, and he draws a foul, and there could be more. Jorge Herrera will pick up a card for that.
Yellow card coming out. Crowd does not like it.
Neither does Jorge.
Number 12, Mark Anthony Kay, down on the pitch right now.
Herrera, in an argument, it looked like he was trying to be soothed over by number 4, Aiden Quinn, but Jorge didn't want to hear it, and so that'll be the first booking. Remember, 5 bookings leads to a 1-game suspension. Red card also leads to a suspension. That's the first booking of the year by an Independence player. So Jorge Herrera hit with the first yellow of the season for Independence. Remember, Mark Anthony Kay had the first booking in tonight's game. Ball put in the box by a Bend is sent away by Kalungi. Now Ecker will play along for Estrada, and he wins the ball. Leads it forward to Caleb Calvert. Long lead pass. Herrera will try to win the race, but it was way too far. And Scott Goodwin comes over to bring it to safety. Ball played up the field. Hilton tries to chime in. Ball loose. Slogic going to the far end of the field. And back comes Louisville City. Down to the far end goes Andrew LeBon, the former Wake Forest star, and it goes over the end line as we're in the 50th minute, still scoreless. I want to thank our director, Ryan Brown, tonight, who's done a little bit of everything, play-by-play and directorial-wise, from softball to football to basketball, you name it. Now, doing a magnificent job in the season opener for Charlotte Independence. Anthony Kay once again playing the corner long, directly chipping it in is Reynolds, and that was kicked right back out by Duckett. Running for the ball is Estrada, who goes down at midfield, and that leads to a foul and a quick restart. Martinez has Hilton running along his left. That was cut off by Reynolds, who wins the ball. Martinez chimes back in, trying to regain possession. Ultimately, he'll play it away for Kay. Back comes Louisville City in the 51st minute, and a foul called once again. Martinez hit with that infraction, and he voices his displeasure. Charlotte took a while last season to get its first victory. They lost their first home game, ultimately earned a draw on their first point against Wilmington. Wound up dropping a game to Richmond, and also earned a draw against Harrisburg City in the first home match of the year against them in the Islanders. It wasn't until the 5th game when they finally won one, that aforementioned victory over the team they're facing tonight, Louisville City. Kyle Smith plays it to the right. Reynolds looking over to Shinosky, says, I'll take this one. As we enter the 52nd minute here. Fine crowd on hand here tonight, despite some damp weather just an hour or so before kickoff, and temperatures that have now faded into the 50s. Davis to the right. He'll press on Slogic, and that'll lead to a Louisville corner. So Louisville City now squares the number of corners in the game. I want to remind you about Ortho Carolina. It's proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independence, Ortho Carolina. You improved. Ortho Carolina presented the starting lineup tonight, which Charlotte has not dealt from at all since the start of this one, and we're approaching the 53rd minute. Mark Anthony Kay sends it in the box. Slogic heads it out of the 18. Son plays it away to George Davis IV. Good chip in the box. Charlotte looking for an offside. None delivered, but the ball goes over the end line anyway. You see Mazzell holding up his hands, thinking that Connor Shinosky was well ahead of the pack. Ultimately, no whistle, but it leads to a Charlotte goal kick. And we're going to have our first substitution of the night for Charlotte. And we're going to see John Marcus Davidson now, man who played for some of Japan's top leagues. So John Marquez,
Siam Navy FC in Thailand.
That's right. Now, Coach Mike Jeffries, as Lewis Hilton will exit the game, he talked about how Davidson is a potential starter, but he wanted to let Davidson get his legs underneath him because he was concerned about stamina, especially so early in the year. But Davidson is a potential spark offensively here for Charlotte, and we'll see what he can deliver here as Charlotte looks for some rhythm offensively. He is the first substitution, and another long pass, another long ball that leads to nothing, and Charlotte's had more than its fair share of that tonight. Sloppy ball put forward here by Reynolds. Up the field, Kay will bring it down to the left. Now a cross set up. That's tucked away. Both teams have had their share of wasted possessions in this one. Good move to the left side by Quinn. He'll bring it in the box. That was kneeled away by Kalungi and sent out of play. So Louisville will get another corner out of this as they've become the attackers here over the last 7 minutes. And it will be George Davis IV going aboard to trigger in this corner.
June Marquise Davidson, native of Tokyo, Japan.
That's right. He's played all around the world. Davis delivers a ball, they'll go on the edge of the 18, and that's headed away by Calvert. He'll just send it about 70 yards up the field. And again, Charlotte's making plays that gets ball cleared, but unfortunately it doesn't lead to very much in terms of possession.
Goodwin well out of the box.
Yep. Goodwin had to come about 20 yards away to make that play and send it to midfield. So these two teams have struggled here in trying to put together any type of offensive flow. Sean Reynolds looks up the field. Instead, he opts to go short. Mark Anthony Kay misplayed it. Enzo Martinez will swipe in to take it away. Bilal Duckett with a one-touch. Look for Jan Akra. Instead, that's taken back. Here's Akra with the interception. Tries to play it alongside Herrera from Calvert. Can't get the ball. He was pressured by Shinosky, who takes it away. Kay up the right end. Pushing off is Bilal Duckett. He'll swoop in to tip it away and gain possession momentarily for the Jacks Militia. Here's Guy Bend at midfield, playing his first game for Louisville City. Opts to go to the right. George Davis IV will have a play. He'll keep it in. Calvert will mark Davis. Chips it into the box on the left very nicely. A bend looked for the behind, and he wound up sending that pass away. Had the timing off just a little bit as he was looking for Chun Young San.
Another missed opportunity right there for Louisville City FC.
In the 57th minute, that ball is kicked into what will be the VIP section. Good opportunity here by a Bend who played it just right. Played it just behind the intended receiver there. Sean Reynolds. One touch by Kay. Here comes Son down the right. Chip in the box, goes untouched. But some dangerous moments here and a good save at the other end. Bilal Duckett realizes that, sends it up the field, and that leads to a foul. Good play by Bilal Duckett there, realizing that that ball was not out of play, and he won an important one. Louisville City kept it in first. And now we're going to have a Louisville City substitution as a player has reported to the fourth official here, and he's going to check in before the free kick can be, he is going to check in before the free kick can be delivered here. And now we got tugging back and forth between Caleb Calvert.
Flag is up.
And Shinosky, and that's going to lead to a foul called against Louisville City. There's the challenge, and this was really an important play here. Yep, it's a foul actually that Estrada drew on Son. And now the Louisville City player will check in. And this is going to be one of their regulars in Kadeem Akers. Young man who triggered a hashtag last season for
Did he
Louisville
really?
City. We'll tell you more about that in just a second. But first, Herrera with the free kick off the foul. Sends it into the box nicely. It's headed out. Martinez will take it inside the 18.
Tried
but
to
he was
nutmeg
stripped
him
away
right
nicely
there.
by Son and sends it up the midfield. Now roaring down the right side comes Louisville City. So Kadeem Dakers is in. Chandler Hopman sends a pass alongside, but Andrew Laban is offside. Talked about Dakers in his third professional season from Maryland, Baltimore County, a native of Rosedale, New York. He was tied on the team last year for third with goals, as he finished up last season with 6 goals. Of course, when you have a player like Matt Fondy, who set the league record for the amount of goals, it's tough to earn your share, but Louisville City put plenty in the net on its way to a second-place finish in the Eastern Conference.
Dakers chosen by the Chicago Fire.
That's right.
The MLS Super Draft.
Good ball here by Ekra. Reynolds jumps up after that one, plays it alongside as the songs ring down from Jack's Militia. Ball won here by Dakers, and a good pass put forth. Here's LeBon charging into the box, plays it to the right, but it was tipped away just a tad by Kalungi. That leads to Duckett's clearance. Louisville City will keep the pressure on. A bend to the right sideline. Drops it off. Dakers already making things happen here, and he's barely been in the game 2 minutes. Kyle Smith. Aiden Quinn. This is Giannoski going opposite end. Now the cross put forward. Dangerous header. Slogic managed to get there first. He'll head it over the end line. Once again, it was Andrew LeBon coming over, the former Wake Forest star, who was best in position to make that play, who played 9 games last season with Harrisburg City. Former academic All-ACC selection is LeBon. He did that back in 2015 and used to play with the Carolina Dynamo.
Also led Wake in scoring during his sophomore and junior seasons.
That's right. So now another Louisville City corner. This is their 3rd corner of the half. This one coming up here for Chun Young Son. South Korean native develops an in-swinging pass that eludes everyone and goes over the end line. As we're an hour in and both teams have roughly the same shots on net. They have 1. But Louisville City has controlled the last 12 minutes or so of action. Caleb Calvert had a chance from the penalty spot, but it was that perpetual black second in motion, unfortunately for Charlotte, as he mishit it. There's a hit by Bilal Duckett to end a Louisville City opportunity. Estrada comes back the other way. He's still going down the right sideline. Estrada
got some
will play it
room
into the box. He plays it along to Herrera. Herrera to the left. This is Enzo Martinez taken down. Threat ended there right away, and back comes Louisville City.
Kyle Smith bringing it up.
Smith down the right sideline. Ekra in chase. Ekra catches up with them. Slogic now forcing the 1v2, and Louisville City will have a throw. Charlotte looks like they're about to bring its 2nd substitute into the game. They've already brought Davidson in, and
can't quite tell who that is from this distance.
Looks like that he'll report in at the next dead ball. This is a bend. Smith wound up getting hit in a bad spot there on his ankle, and that's going to lead to a card that Enzo Martinez didn't even argue with.
Smith getting up. Good to see that he's okay.
So Martinez placed in the book now, and after he just walked away from it, perhaps he didn't realize at first that he was hit with the infraction here, a card. Wound up getting him right on his toe, as our replay from our director Ryan Brown shows. So the yellow to Martinez, the 2nd Independence player in the book tonight, joining Jorge Herrera. A free kick, and
way
that
over
one
everybody.
just went over everything. It's about as errant as it gets. Not one of the better efforts that Aiden Quinn will be proud of.
Maybe the breeze got under it.
And so that will lead to our 2nd Charlotte substitution with Davidson going in. Enzo Martinez will go out. And it's going to be number 20 checking in for Charlotte. This is Chris Hellman from Germany, who was signed within the last week. Hellman is someone who spent time in Des Moines in the development league of USL, playing with head coach Mike Jeffries.
Native of Cologne, Germany. Jeff just mentioned the Des Moines Menace.
That's right. He's one of several players. And in response to an errant kick off the free kick, the goalkeeper for Charlotte, Cody Mazzell, delivers an errant goal kick that leads to Louisville City throwing the ball in. Both teams have 1 shot on net through 63 minutes of work here. that sounds ugly. That's because it's been ugly. Ekra up the field. Charlotte trying to gather some momentum, chain together a few passes, and now
ball gone clear out of the system, or out of the stadium.
And Davidson taken down, and that leads to a card. And that was issued so quickly. The Louisville City player walked away from it and discussed so quickly we didn't have a chance to see who was issued against. They called it against Shinosky. So that's in the 64th minute, the second Louisville City player in the book, joining Mark Anthony Kaye. In the 64th minute, the foul called against Charlotte. Charlotte had 6 shots at the half. Louisville City had 5, only 1 went on net. That was in the 3rd minute when David Estrada had a golden opportunity, and now a poor clearance here by Mazzell, who has had a few of those in the last few minutes. Estrada, though, keeps it in play. Davidson up the field for Calvert, and it goes out of play. It'll be Charlotte ball.
Quick throw in.
Charlotte fans have been looking for something to get into here as that ball went off the face of Dakers, and it stays in play. No whistle, a bend. Will play it on the right.
Kyle Smith.
Smith will play it to the edge where Patrick Slogic will head it, and then he was fouled from behind by Dakers. So, Charlotte, which lost its opening match last year and drew its second against Wilmington, Enzo Martinez scored the game-tying goal in that one. That was Charlotte's first point here tonight. We are seeing a season opener that is in stark contrast to last year's first ever game for Independence, where goals came fast and furious within the first 20 minutes. Charlotte and Charleston were scoring goals like they were going out of style.
Jack Thompson, I believe, had it in the 11th minute.
Yep, he scored first, and Charleston scored 2 within a 8-minute span right after that. Here, it's been no such thing tonight. Gaia Ben wins the ball. He'll chip it forward. He's looking for Laban. He tries to elude Slogic. Then Laban got away with a clear handball there.
Yes, he did.
I have no idea how that was missed, and it goes to Charlotte off the foul call as Davidson was jockeying for position along with Kareem Dakers. We talked about Dakers a moment ago, how they invented a hashtag for him. As Davidson collects the ball, Dakers pressing, Slogic sends a pass up the field, and Caleb draws a foul. Kadimi was a hashtag that the Louisville City fans, the Sluggers and the Louisville Coopers came up with. That was a hashtag whenever he did something big. Nice put forward here. It is Slogic playing it forward. Here's an opportunity. No, it's a wave off here as a foul was called. Jan Ekra created all of that, and Estrada had an open net, but it was
best
a whistle.
Chance for the Independents so far tonight.
It was indeed. As Jan Ekra really created that, and if you were to choose a man of the match so far here tonight for Charlotte, you would have to choose Jan Ekra as he created this opportunity for Caleb Calvert. And it was Goodwin getting that one with his right ankle. Now the long ball down the field for Son. Not sure exactly what the foul was called there. Perhaps it was an offside, but not exactly sure what was called there. It was unusual. Regardless, Caleb Calvert with another opportunity. Not sure exactly where the foul was located. Once again, Ekra, though, was the one who created a scoring chance, the few that have been had in this game. Charlotte has made 2 substitutions. Davidson has come on, the native of Japan, and Christopher Hellman came on just a moment ago, the native of Germany. So it was an offside. It was not a foul called. It appeared that perhaps Caleb Calvert was the one who was offside. Jan Ekra did a magnificent job, though, and certainly Jan playing in his first Charlotte game after spending last couple of seasons with Harrisburg City, has been the player going box to box and making things happen in a game that has lacked any offensive flow whatsoever. Poor pass there by Ekra. Sluggers, that's exactly right. I said Sluggers. I apologize for that. It is Sluggers, and we're quite familiar with the folks. And last season was quite a success for Louisville City, both on the field and in the seats. They had over 7,000 on hand for many, many games.
I did see a couple here at halftime, too.
And here's Smith to the right, playing it across, man in position. Unable to bring it down to the far end of the field was Mark Anthony Kaye. Kalungi. And the foul. And here's exactly what was called here. The offside that was called against Charlotte. We wondered where the foul was. Turned out this goal would not have counted. You can see Caleb Calvert just getting a bit of a head start as he entered the 18 there. Even though Goodwin made a fine save on it, it didn't count. And the rebound attempt that Estrada pushed wide in front of an open net also, of course, would have been meaningless. As we approach 70 minutes in this one, still scoreless. Kalungi struggling to get the ball from the back end. Brings it forward. Davidson off his shoulder, but that's cut off. These two teams won't meet again until the season finale in September. Smith to the right. Up the field, Dakers was tangling with Slogic for it. Dakers was looking for a foul. None came, and Charlotte will have a goal kick. Charlotte will be back at home to them next week as they will go up against Harrisburg City next Saturday. All starting time, 7 o'clock this season at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. I want to thank the folks at Novant Health. That's the official health care provider of Charlotte Independence. Novant Health, improving the health of our community, one person at a time. To the right side, Slogic. Herrera will wait for that one, and he'll spring forward. Davidson looks forward. Caleb Calvert was looking for the pass. Davidson just roars right in on net, and Goodwin will pick it up uncontested. Charlotte fans have been singing over the last few minutes. Jack's Militia, located in the left grandstand. Singing songs for Jorge Herrera. Good long ball down the field here, looking for Laban. Headed away by Kalungi. Davidson up the field. Wellman. Jan Ekra now trying to pressure it away to Davidson, but was unable to get there. Shinoski cut it off. And here comes Mark Anthony Kay as you see Jack's Militia. And Kay now will fire a shot. And diving for that one, Cody Mazzell on a ball that was really only a mild attempt, a mild danger there. Mazzell takes down the second shot on net by Louisville City in the game. I want to thank Nike, an official partner of USL. To learn more, go to Nike.com. Nike, an official partner of the USL. Ball for Calvert is cut off by Smith. A Ben will boot it away to midfield. And it's sent out of play by Duckett into the Louisville bench. We have not seen any sign of Paulo Del Piccolo about to come into the game, the former Charlotte Independent star who wound up playing 26 games last year for Independence, and he started 25 of them, not to mention the U.S. Open Cup games. And just as I say that, a Charlotte player removes his warm-up and looks like he's about to check in. There's an interception that's forced away by Estrada. Davidson, the rangy attacker. Louisville City comes down with the pressure. This is Laban. And Davidson forced to rely on Kalungi to clear it, and it goes over the sideline. Charlotte will have a throw. Not much in the way of attempts in this one, and Charlotte has been rather quiet offensively throughout the last 20 minutes or so in the second half. The only attempt was Caleb Calvert coming in, but he wound up getting called offside. Now a cough up at midfield. Mark Anthony Kay charging down against Metcalf. His shot was blocked by Duckett. Metcalf tries to clear. A Ben keeps it in play. Running for that one is Dakers. And Louisville City continues its pressure. This is Quinn, the left side. That shot was blocked away by Acra. Keeping the pressure on Louisville City. The shot to the far end of the field was blocked down by Metcalf. Cleared up to the midfield line. And now Davidson will play it alongside as it goes to Estrada. David Estrada. Away it goes to Patrick Slogic. As we're 72 minutes in here in a scoreless game. Charlotte has had only one shot on net. And another wasted possession there as Slogic simply couldn't find Estrada. And right there, Dave, you see the difference.
A little miscommunication right there.
Yep, no question about it.
Slogic even directed Estrada to head down the line, and Estrada just couldn't shake his defender, and the ball went out of bounds.
This looks like a game between two teams that are trying to get on track and in a rhythm offensively. Instead of it being like a orchestral move, this game has had all the fluidity of a progressive metal band. And unfortunately, that's about as pretty as it looks. Well, some might like prog metal, like myself, but that's another story. To the right, here's an opportunity. Louisville City with a golden opportunity. A bouncing ball off the header, and a save is made beautifully by Mazzell. That pass was set up by Chandler Hoffman. And then the ball chipped right back in. Kalanji bends that one away. Kay, now a bend from distance. That's saved. A bend right back on the rebound, turned back by Slogic. And now Ekra will move it to the left as Charlotte tries to get out of its third, and they succeed. Estrada plays it forward. Here's Wellman deep down the field. Playing it alongside for Jorge Herrera, who runs down the right, collects it in before it goes over the boundary line. The cross, here's the header put up by Davidson that goes off the left side. Keeping it in play is Estrada to the left. Plays the cross, taken down at midfield, and we've got a penalty.
That'll bring the crowd to their feet, Jeff.
No doubt about it. Caleb Calvert was the one who was practically tackled from behind. Scott Goodwin in the face of the official who called that one. But it's going to be a penalty here for Charlotte.
Golden opportunity right now.
Caleb Calvert was free as play loosened up after that flurry by Louisville, and Jorge Herrera will try to give Charlotte the lead here as he will take the penalty that was drawn by Caleb Calvert.
Jack's Militia to their feet, along with the rest of the Ramblewood Soccer Complex.
Herrera last season was 3 for 4 on penalty kicks. Herrera scored 4 goals last season, 3 of them on penalties. And the save is made by Goodwin.
Wow.
Diving to the right, he made the save. A beautiful, beautiful save by Scott Goodwin as he turned back the penalty to keep the game scoreless in the 74th minute.
That's why he had 8 clean sheets last season.
No question about it. So Jorge misses a penalty. He missed a penalty last year against Richmond in Richmond, and he missed this one, and right now you can see the remorse on his face. Last year it was Herrera and Ryan Finley who were the main penalty takers. Here Charlotte lets an opportunity go by the boards, and that's been the theme of this game. And now a free kick coming up for Louisville City. And we're going to have a substitution as Charlotte will bring in its third reserve. Huge play by Scott Goodwin as he turned back the penalty after Caleb Calvert was tackled, and I mean tackled in the box. And we take a look at this penalty here. Jorge just approached it normally. And Jorge now, it's going to be Ron Ekra going out of the game. They're going to have a couple of substitutions here. One for Louisville City. This is going to be Cameron Lancaster coming in. He'll replace Chandler Hoffman in the attacking spot. And then Jorge will go out. And Emmanuel Appia will come in. Actually, it's going to be Herrera staying in, and Ekra will leave the game. Now here's a chip in the box that comes in wide right, and it'll go out of play.
Lancaster spending time with the Tottenham Hotspur Academy.
That's right. And Tottenham right now, right in the thick of things.
Along with my West Ham United Hammers.
That's right. In the Champions League, or rather in the Premier League, they could get a spot in the Champions League if things shake out well for them. So Appia was just added. In fact, he was assigned to Charlotte this week by Colorado. By the Rapids. He was the first round pick of Colorado in this year's Super Draft. And he checks in now in his first appearance. Ekra also going out of the game. Here's Slogic sticking his foot in. Estrada stays in, goes down, and a foul will be called against Louisville City, as that one's called against Kyle Smith. The headline in this one just came moments ago. Caleb Calvert was tackled in the box as play all of a sudden just started to erupt on both ends. Caleb Calvert was knocked down. Jorge Herrera took the ensuing penalty, but was spotted by Scott Goodwin. Ball sent in by Slogic, and we're going to have a foul called, and perhaps more, against Louisville City. Calvert again drew a foul. And the Louisville City player hit with that one, not shy about voicing his reservations, Sean Reynolds. And so Charlotte, about 25 yards out now, will have a free kick. Herrera still in the game with Emmanuel Appia, young man who played at Cincinnati and was second team American Athletic Conference this past season with the Bearcats. That's the league that East Carolina plays in, incidentally. Now Herrera will line up to take the free kick. Muscles it in on the right, comes in on net. Goodwin had it pop off his body. Kalungi was there for a potential rebound, but Goodwin secured it.
Another good save by Goodwin.
Herrera put that one right in on net. Charlotte now with 3 shots on net in the game, but you have to remember one of those was the penalty that Jorge Herrera missed. Here comes Kadeem Akers back as we approach the final 10 minutes of the game. Left side of the field, this is Son. Playing in the box, Dakers. Opportunity here for Louisville City, and the shot winds up going just wide right. Did it go off an Independence player? Believe it did, yes. That ball got lunged up in a couple of legs. Belial Duckett was in there with Kalungi. The two center backs converged on the ball. And that's going to be a corner. So Chon Young Sun will come on for the corner. Luban was in there playing that one. He forces this corner as we approach the 80th minute here in a scoreless game. Sun kicks the ball. It's in a good position there for it to knock it out of harm's way is Appia, and it goes untouched out of play. Let's take a look at this shot just a moment ago here. This ball, it's hard to tell exactly who that went off of, as it looked like Chandler Hoffman sent that one in, and they ruled that a corner, though it's hard to tell exactly if that was deflected by anyone. It probably would have been a handball, but regardless, Louisville got a corner out of that and did nothing with it. Dakers dueling with Estrada for the ball. Kadeem will win that duel. Plays it alongside the Smith as we're in the final 10 minutes of regulation here in the season opener at Ramblewood Soccer Complex, and we're still waiting on the opener. Son down the left flank. Janoski. He and Reynolds have been the center back pairing in this one. Plays a good long ball that Metcalf has to run over and field. And then taken down, and a foul will be drawn here. And
Yellow
that's going to lead
Jack.
to, call that a yellow, as Mark Anthony Kay, who was booked earlier, draws a foul that leads to Metcalf's first yellow of the season. Third yellow card of the night against Independence. So this free kick coming just outside the box. Dave, you can look for it right here. Wow.
Yes, on the replay, you see Metcalf did get his feet in there and trip him up.
So Hoffman will provide the ball at the top of the box. And the attempt by Dakers comes in on net, and the save is made by Mazzell. Dakers with the opportunity from 20 yards outside the box, looking to add on to his total, trying to do some Kadeeming, if you will, but didn't work out there. Slogic, Estrada now. Slogic will go on the overlap, and he beats Dakers to the ball. Dakers has to take him down, and no whistle. Charlotte fans get the ire going there. I got their dander up. Kalungi plays it free. Oh, poor clearance there. Mazzell was fortunate. There's Estrada. Davidson. Charlotte struggling to clear this ball. And ultimately, Metcalf will play a ball that will lead to a Charlotte throw. Independence, with Harrisburg City coming to town next week, still looking for the opener. They've had the better opportunities, and now we have another substitution in for Charlotte. This will be their fourth.
Jorge Herrera going to come off.
And it's 24 coming in. This is Noberto Ochoa, another player who was signed this past week, coming into the game. So Ochoa checks in. And Jorge Herrera will take a seat. So the veteran had his opportunities tonight, and he'll probably spend the night thinking about that penalty that wound up being saved nicely by Scott Goodwin. That could have put Charlotte on the board for the first time this year. So Ochoa coming in. And Herrera, the veteran who started his 16th professional season tonight, takes a seat. Ochoa, a youngster. Reminder about USLsoccer.com. You can learn more about the league the teams that have joined this year, 6 in all, the new playoff format, the league table, and the schedule, as well as about our broadcast that we bring you here on YouTube. All of that available on USLSoccer.com. You can learn more about the finals from today, where the New York Red Bulls played to a tie with Toronto. As the ball goes into the box, Frizzell just punches it away. Ball still free at the top of the box. Smith comes in. That ball is deflected by Estrada. Dakers now takes over. He controls, still with it, plays it to the outside and shot it wide right.
Norberto Ochoa, native of Riverside, California. He is the new Independence player on the pitch. Last team, UC Riverside.
That's right. Young man who is a rookie. He was signed this past week along with Alec Bartlett. Appia and Caleb Calvert, it became official this past week, were assigned to Charlotte by the parent club, Colorado Rapids. So things are getting quite interesting in Colorado, especially in net with Tim Howard signing that became official this past week.
And he will join them after the current English Premier League season comes to an end.
That's right.
Hasn't been in Major League Soccer since, I believe, 2003.
That's right. So Tim adding some spark for a team that needs it desperately. Header up the field by Kalungi, as Charlotte's back line has shut down a lot of opportunities tonight. Here's Hoffman back the other way. Dacre sprinting wide to the right. Once again, Slogic springs on him. And then the shot was blocked away by Kalungi. Back heel by Smith frees up Dacre as he'll curl in the box, but again, Kalungi is there to kick it out. Now Calvert runs forward, tried to play it alongside to Estrada. Up the field comes Charlotte. Wellman with it, but his lead pass for Estrada is another long pass leading to a possession that leads to nothing. As we enter the final 5 minutes of regulation, and the sprinkles begin to come down here, and if the rain's going to come, it might as well come now, as some of the fans feeling the rain starting to fall have felt that they've seen enough tonight. And Randy called this one a season opener, but now Charlotte creates a turnover. Estrada, Davidson up the field for Calvert. Running to the right, here's a chip in the box, and that just goes wide. And now the rain really starting to pick up, as that pass, triggered by David Estrada, just missed everything, and he looked up at the sky where the falling rain started to come down on his face.
Umbrellas coming out for those that are going to stick around for the final 4 minutes or so plus added time.
You've seen a few bookings here in the second half, so that would lead to perhaps a little more extra time, but not all that much more. We thank our cameramen, certainly, for what they've done tonight. Standing out here, they stand out no matter what type of weather it is. Fans get a Let's Go Charlotte chant going here as the final minutes of regulation tick off the clock. Chip in the box. That time not well done by Appia, as he had something entirely in mind that was different from what his attackers had in mind up front, particularly Caleb Calvert and John Marcus Davidson, who came on here as the first reserve. Charlotte still has one more substitution remaining. Louisville has 2 more. Smith to the right, plays it nicely in the box, headed out by Duckett. Awaiting that one is Ochoa. Away it goes to Davidson. He's attacked by 3 Louisville players, gets knocked down, ball still free, and it went off of Davidson out of bounds. And the referee didn't want a quick restart there. For whatever reason, there's no 4th player at the officials table. It is going to be Louisville City ball here in the 88th minute.
Don't see any Louisville City FC players warming up.
No.
Really, all substitutes have come into the game for both sides. I don't see any independents either on the other end.
So Paulo Del Piccolo's return will have to be from the bench, it would appear, after playing 25 games last season as a starter for Independence and 26 in all. And so often the offense really ran through him, and that's one of the reasons why Charlotte has struggled tonight offensively. Another one being the fact that Louisville has such a powerful back line returning, even if their top players didn't return from last season. Certainly they still have many remains over, and that defensive chemistry remains intact. Ball in the box here. That's punched out, and Dakers, just as he was ready to line up with a shot in his crosshairs, a foul is called. Chandler Hoffman can't believe that one. Or Cameron Lancaster, I should say, couldn't believe that one. It looked like that he had fielded that ball cleanly going up against Slogic. Cuddy Mazzell came out of net, and a foul was whistled against Lancaster, and he's unsure exactly why it was called.
I'm not sure if I saw one either.
And that was big for Charlotte because Dakers was free right at the edge of the 18, ready to turn that ball loose. With a couple of Charlotte players just in his way, who knows what that could have led to. As we're almost at the 90th minute now, Dakers to the far end, jostling for the ball, along with Appia. Louisville City maintaining possession here as we enter the 90th minute. Davis playing to the right. Ball chipped to midfield, headed forward briefly by Davidson. Now Duckett plays it forward. Up with it comes Hellman, the German native, taken off the ball. He'll go back, play it for Slogic. Charlotte will look to reset as regulation begins to wind to an end. Slogic comes over the ball as Davidson goes down. He'll look to play it forward for Appia, and does. Appia goes into the 18. Appia taken down on the bump. Referee waves his arm saying no foul. Appia, if anything, probably deserved a yellow for diving there. Duckett heads it forward as the ball was sent away by Goodwin, who really has been the man of the match for Louisville City after making the save on a penalty kick by Jorge Herrera to keep this one scoreless. Dakers to the far end. Good crossover move. He'll fire on net, and it just missed the net wide to the right. He beat Metcalf on pressure and was able to create room for himself. Somehow that ball did not cross the end line, so it'll be up to Estrada to keep it up the field. Does so for Calvert. And there'll be 3 minutes of added time. 3 minutes, Dave, you're right.
We are at full time, 3 minutes.
So Calvert was hit for a foul at midfield on Shinosky. Sean Reynolds plays it to the left. Shinosky. Away it goes up the field to Mark Anthony Kay, who picked up a yellow card. Dakers has it go off his body, and that's going to lead to a Charlotte goal kick. Now let's take a look at this here. Ryan Brown, our director, thought that there was some merit to a potential penalty being called here. That was it was an iffy play, but chances are it's going to take more than that at this stage of the game to get a penalty. It could have been a tough one there. It was a tough call for the official who was right there looking at it. Appia ultimately couldn't get that one, playing in his first professional game here tonight. The first round pick from the MLS, I should say, Super Draft. Long pass there, goes over the end line. As we're in added time here, 3 minutes of added time, probably halfway through it right about now. Davidson, Appia, fielded that one. Dakers wins the ball. Kadeem down to the left, and that threat shut down by Metcalf. Up with the ball is Quinn. He has it kicked away. Moving to the right goes Mark Anthony Kay. Over to the left, here comes Estrada. Charlotte tries to mount a last gasp. David Estrada, one-touch attempt there by Hellman. That was ruined very nicely by Quinn. Down to the right. It goes to Luban, but a sliding challenge made by Slogic successfully gets the ball briefly back up the field. Dakers brings it back over, plays it to the right. Luban looking for a trailer, gets it in K, and we have a whistle and an injured foul here. It's going to be called against Charlotte as we have an injured LCFC player. That's Dakers that's down.
Getting back up. Glad to see he's okay.
Referee ruled advantage here. Oh, that was a late challenge indeed. And now Louisville City will have a chance at the death to notch a game winner here. Ball is about 22 yards outside the box, or 22 yards from net, I should say. As you see, Quinn
And a yellow card coming out now on Kalungi.
So Kalungi hit with the yellow in the 90th. Quinn standing over the ball. Charlotte has to turn this back in order to notch the save and notch the win, or I should say the tie, and get a point in the league standings. Already today, the New York Red Bulls 2 have played to a draw with Toronto FC 2. Now Quinn done with his deliberation as the whistle sounds. This will most assuredly end regulation. Here's the shot, comes on net, and it goes in! And it's Louisville City scoring at the death.
Unbelievable.
And the final whistle sounds.
There's full
with that.
whistle.
My heavens. A goal at the death, and Louisville City drops home a game winner in the 90th minute.
Unreal. And just like that. That will be the victory for Louisville City. They'll leave Charlotte with 3 points. Jeff?
Amazing. It was Cameron
Wow.
Lancaster, the reserve, who came on. And as we'll take a look at it in just a moment, Cody Mazzell got a hand on it, and Charlotte players standing around in disbelief. They can't believe that this one wound up costing them the game. Mazzell got a hand on it briefly, but it went in the upper left corner of the net. Mazzell couldn't get there in time. And a heartbreaker delivered by Cameron Lancaster on a free kick at the death, and Louisville City wins 1-0. A stunning result. And a stunning finish here tonight to a game that really didn't have very many moments of offensive flow. Ultimately, Henry Kalungi's foul leads to a free kick and the goal that's scored by Cameron Lancaster, and he delivers the game winner. And perhaps in poetic justice, the rain now begins to fall here in Charlotte even more heavy. And right now you can bet raindrops are falling on Independence players' heads as they drop the season opener in the most crushing way possible, giving up a goal in the final seconds of regulation. And Louisville City leaves Charlotte with 3 points, and they win here tonight 1-0 over Independence. We'll come back for a recap of this one as Independence falls here tonight 1-0 to Louisville City, as you're watching Charlotte Independent Soccer on YouTube. Well, it doesn't get more difficult than that. Independence drops not only the season opener and the home opener, but they drop it in the final seconds as Cameron Lancaster scores on a free kick on the final play. And let's take a look at what happened here, the vital moments of this game. Really, all of them came in the second half. Charlotte had a chance to take the lead in this one, scoring the opener when Caleb Calvert was taken down here in the box. The foul was called against Gaia Ben. That led to a penalty, and you felt like that was money in the bank. Jorge Herrera, 3 of 4 on penalty kicks last season, but here Scott Goodwin comes up and makes the save, and that was Charlotte's best opportunity for the win tonight. And it looked like that would be the way this game would end in a scoreless tie, but then a late attack by Louisville City, and Kadeem Dakers was taken down late by Henry Kalungi very late in the game, and that led to this, the final kick of the game from Cameron Lancaster. It went into the upper left-hand corner. It eluded goalkeeper Cody Mazzell, and it wound up leading to that, a pile-up as Louisville City winds up earning the victory as they defeat Charlotte Independence in the season opener here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. 1-0 the final score. A crushing final here as the game recap presented tonight by Wells Fargo. And Dave, nothing more you can say about it except Charlotte's got to develop with time here, and it's a challenge each and every season when you're a developmental team like Charlotte, when you have new attackers, and this one's going to be a tough setback for the team here as they get ready for Harrisburg City next week.
That's right, Jeff. Yeah, and as you just mentioned, you hate to lose it in this fashion. Like you said, the closing seconds, just like that. And, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, not much more you could say. Tough loss, but all you can do is suck it up, learn from it, get back on the practice pitch this week, and prep for the Harrisburg FC, and look to get back into the win column next week.
Well, the Harrisburg City Islanders will come to town next week, dropping its own game today as they lost to Richmond. I want to thank Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of Charlotte Independence. Coca-Cola, experience the world of awe. And fans curated craft beer delivered to your doorstep is just a click away. Visit brewpublic.com to learn more and sign up. Brewpublic, Ding Dong Beer. Well, Dave, we thank you so much here for joining us here tonight. We're going to have a revolving door column in throughout the season, but fortunately, our director will not be a revolving door. Ryan Brown doing a great job, and the celebration on in Louisville, and as well as it should. Louisville City getting a late game winner, the latest you can possibly get it, from Cameron Lancaster. He scores on the last kick of the game. Louisville City down Charlotte 1-0.